What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm really excited for today's video. Obviously, as you can tell, a little bit different setting than the last couple of videos. We are not in the woods, but we're here in my office at the church. And but with that being said, this is going to be a little bit different style of video anyway. So I'm going to show you some editing tips, some things that hopefully will help you out. We've talked about B-roll the last couple weeks, and this what we're going to talk about today will help you in the area of B-roll, but it's really going to cover way more than that, because what I want to talk today about is audio, and how to make your audio better, and how to get good audio, good transitions and good things like that out of your edit to make things flow well and to make things sound good. I can't remember exactly who it is, but I remember one of the YouTubers that I kind of watched as I was learning and trying to figure everything out. One of their key sayings was, audio is half the watching experience. If you have bad audio, people are not going to watch. They're going to tune out, and they're going to find somebody else, because where they can settle with not very great visuals and video, they won't settle in audio. It's just one of those things. If you've ever tried to watch a movie and the audio was good, but the scenes weren't very good, you kind of could stick with it. But if you try to watch something where the audio is terrible, it's not going to take you very long, and you're going to turn it off. So hopefully today we can dive into to how to make your audio better. I'm hopefully going to give you 3 ways we can do that. But before we get into it, if you would like the video and subscribe to the channel, it would really help out. I'm hoping that the content that we're bringing is really helping you guys out, and hoping that it's teaching y'all something. So hopefully you'll subscribe to the channel for more. And but with all that being said, let's get into the video. All right, guys, so way number 1 that we can improve our audio, make our audio better throughout our edit, is to understand our audio levels and where everything should be. So it took me a minute to figure out, but I've got my screen record going on my screen. So I'm gonna bring you right into Adobe Premiere Pro with me on some clips that I found. I think this is actually like the first hunt that I ever went on with Martin back in 2019 when I started at Duck Commander. So I kind of put some of the clips together just for this video, just to show you where our audio levels need to sit, and what is going to help make everything sound correct, and understanding how to do all that. So I'm gonna play this real quick, and then we will dive into those audio levels more.
But we're gonna hunt some WRP stuff. We're gonna have a good time. Hopefully kill a few mallard ducks, and see what's going on. So check it out here in a minute.
Little Jaguar.
Little Jaguar.
Sorry. And Martin's on the board.
And look, I never got nervous one time. I ain't like you. I've enjoyed myself all morning. No. Kill him.
All right, so just to break down these little clips and kind of what I want to talk about with the audio side of things. First of all, when I started filming my hunts and trying to edit them and put them together, I actually started on iMovie. I had a buddy of mine that let us borrow his MacBook, and it had iMovie on it. So we were using that to edit. So there were no real monitoring of audio. I mean, obviously you could take your clips and you could make them louder or softer, but you never really could monitor your audio. And so when I first dove into Premiere Pro, that wasn't really something that I paid much attention to. So I can specifically remember trying to figure out, because I would edit on my computer, and then as I would go through, I would kind of raise the audio levels up and raise them, put them down, but then half the time I was turning my computer up or turning my computer down. And so then once I got through with an edit, I'd go back and watch, and it would be like just all over the place. Some parts would be super quiet, some parts would be super loud. And so it wasn't until I actually realized, hey, there's these audio bars over here, and they are monitoring the audio for me, telling me where it's at, not just based on my ears. because your ears will fail you. If you just try to listen, sometimes it'll sound loud, sometimes it'll sound quiet, but you need a true decibel level of where that's at so you can really be accurate when you're editing. So once I found that out, it was huge in trying to figure out how exactly and where exactly my audio should lay. So the reason I put this little snippet together, a video, is because it kind of gives me the three things that I want to talk about as far as our audio levels. So first of all, the first thing that we have in our video, more than likely, is going to be our people speaking. It's going to be our vocals, the people that are actually telling the story or talking about what's going on, and all that. And so that's really going to be your main thing. You definitely don't want your music drowning out the people that are talking. So as far as your vocals, where you want that to sit is about really anywhere from -5 to -8 dB on this little scale. Obviously, it's going to vary between people as they get louder or as they're quieter. But if you can keep it around that, those levels, it's going to be really, really good. So I'll go back and play this again and show you the whole screen and let you see the levels over here on the side, to where you can get an idea of kind of where this audio is, as Martin kind of talks right here in the beginning.
But we're gonna hunt some WRP stuff. We're gonna have a good time. Hopefully kill a few mallard ducks, and see what's going on. So check it out here in a minute.
So you can see right there in that video that if you watch those levels right there to the right of the timeline, it kind of goes a little bit over that -6 and a little bit under that -6 decibel mark. So that's kind of where we want our vocals to lie. They're going to stand out. They're going to be a little bit louder than most things, and they're probably more important than everything else because you want to hear whoever it is telling the story or explaining what's happening. So that's where our vocals need to sit, around that -5 to -8 dB. So next, obviously we all have music, right? And to me, there's two different types of music. You've got like your B-roll sequences where your music is more prevalent and it's more kind of in your face, and then your background music. So in this video, I put both of those in here. So right here in the middle, we can see a little B-roll segment to where they're getting ready to go to the blind. They're getting things together. They're getting decoys thrown out, all that. And that's where I have the kind of the B-roll audio or the B-roll music. And so we'll watch that, and then you can watch the levels and see where it sits, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more. So we'll start from right here when Martin gets done talking.
Check it out here in a minute.
Nice little Jaguar.
Little Jaguar.
Sorry.
All right, so we can see that B-roll music there is going to be a little bit louder than our background music, right? This is, it is drowning out some of those sound effects a little bit because it is kind of carrying the feel of the video. It's carrying the feel of that. So if it's slower music, softer, where it's more sentimental, it's kind of making you feel that way. Or if it's upbeat and making you feel like, oh yeah, man, this is about to be great. You want that music, that B-roll music to kind of carry everything. So with that being said, where I like for that to sit is really around that -12 to -18 dB mark. And you could tell there that it was kind of fluctuating there. This audio was even kind of on the lower end of that, around that -18. And I still had some sound effects in there with the B-roll that you could still hear that were still poking through to feel like you were there. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. But that's kind of where you want that audio for your B-roll music to sit, in my opinion. Like I said, this is all just kind of your feel and where you think and where it sounds good. So that's kind of where I've liked it to sit. But now the third aspect of your audio levels, obviously going back, number one, your vocals, number two, your B-roll music, and then number three is going to be that background music, right? When it's there, but it's subtle. You want something to fill some space, but you don't want it to like take away from anything. You don't want it to be like too loud, taking away from your vocals or any of that. It's just kind of laid underneath and soft, just there, kind of keeping the move, keeping the vibe. So I'm gonna start it back here right after this B-roll sequence is finished, and right into where they're just kind of talking in the blind, and they have another duck come in and they shoot it. But I put some audio under, or some music under there, just to kind of keep things going and keep a feel, but it's not too loud. So we'll see what it says, and you can monitor these levels and see where it's at, and then we'll talk about it.
Nice little Jaguar.
Little Jaguar.
Sorry. And Martin's on the board.
And look, I never got nervous one time. I ain't like you. I've enjoyed myself all morning. No. Kill him.
All right, so as you can see right there in the end of that, which I can solo it out to where you can see, but I could just tell you, where I like for that to normally sit, that background music, is going to be around -25 to -30 dB. So it's pretty significantly quiet, but yet it's still peeking through to where you can hear it. It's really strange if you can't hardly hear it, but it's really strange if it's too loud. So that, to me, that -25 to -30 dB mark is really the sweet spot for that background music, and that goes for anything. If just like even right now as I'm talking, you could have layer that background music to where it just carries the feel, just makes things feel nice and keeps things moving. But you really don't want it any louder than that -25, or it's going to start kind of taking away and taking people's mind off of it as the music plays. So that's really the first part of what I want us to talk about today, as far as your audio, is monitoring your audio and knowing where your audio levels are and where everything should sit. And so before we move on, I guess to give you just a little tip or some ways that I like to adjust my audio, because it doesn't just come like that. Your vocals don't just all hit -6. Your music doesn't all just hit at that mark where you want it to be. So one of the ways that I like to do it, when I first started out, I would just take and move the little bar, and I'll show you. I'll zoom in here. I would just take and move the little bar here, like up and down, and it kind of gives you a little, some numbers there to tell you where you're at, but it's really not super accurate as far as where you want it. So what I like to do, I'll just come in and just hit G, and it brings up your gain adjustment, and then you can take it the whole clip down to wherever you want it to be. So this B-roll sequence, obviously I said I liked it to be around that, -12 to 18. So this one, I took it down -19 dB. And so it just gives you an easier and a simpler way to kind of do that. So if I was to say I was going to take it back to 0, I would just insert 10 there and see how it adjusts it. Or just do -10, or however you want to do it. So that kind of gives you a good adjustment. Now obviously there will be times, like you can see right here, this is a GoPro audio, and it's Martin loading another shell into his gun, and the GoPro kind of tweaks out, and makes a weird sound. So I've taken, and the way I've done this is I've taken and pressed P, and it gives you the pen tool, and you can just take and make you marks on your line there of audio, and you can move it around. So those are the two main ways that I'll adjust my audio to get everything to where I want it, is to either just use that gain, the G, and bring the whole level of everything down, or use the pen tool to bring individual spots down. So that's normally how I like to do that. So overall, first thing you can do to improve your audio is get your audio levels correct. Get them to where everything fits and where it makes sense, and your music isn't blaring over your vocals, and your vocals are sitting in a nice spot and all that. So that's our first thing I want us to talk about. So now we'll move on to the second thing. All right, guys. Well, I had plans to do kind of 3 different parts in this video, but by the looks of it, this is already 15 minutes long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break up these videos into 3 pieces. So the first piece, obviously, being what you just watched about audio levels. The second piece will be about audio transitions, and then the third piece will be about audio design. So really excited about these 3 videos, but with the length of them, I am going to break them up. So I appreciate you watching. If you're seeing this, that means you made it all the way to the end. So if you did, go ahead and leave me a comment and let me know that you made it. It means a lot to me that you watched the whole video and cared that much to comment. So hopefully you'll subscribe. Hopefully this helps you out with making your videos better, because that's what we're all about. So hopefully it was good to you, and hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.